I Googled just the dollar amount of human trafficking, and the latest number from 2017, human trafficking globally is $150 billion. So this is a cash crop for the deep state.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't think for 1 second that the church doesn't have its own deep state, because it does. And God's going to expose it. God's going to clean it out. He's going to bring it down, because see, God's not coming back for his church. God's coming back for a pure, spotless bride. The Lord's coming back for a pure, spotless bride. And you can't have this kind of corruption going on and call yourself a pure, spotless bride.
So the midterms, about 5 weeks away. Once again, the polls, just like in 2016, are saying the Democrats are going to win. They're going to take over the House. They're going to take over the Senate. Right. What's going to happen? I know you're talking about there's going to be a big old red wave. What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be a red tsunami myself, brother. It's going to be beyond a wave. It's going to be a red tsunami. You've got, see, here again, unless you follow Q, you don't know what's going on. That we've had the most resignations probably in history of all CEOs, senators, congressmen, women, mayors, governors. I mean, all these things are being exposed right now because they've been involved in the pedophilia, or they've been involved in some type of sex scandal. I mean, so you've got all these people. Look at Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan's not running again. You have people that are saying we're not running again. There's a reason why. You know, even Q said we're not going to be able to get all these people, but some will step down, some will resign, some may suicide out, whatever the case may be. But you're going to see this huge turnover. I think this is going to be probably one of the biggest turnovers in our history at midterm elections right here. And we've got to get out and vote. This is the most important midterm in the history of the United States, period. We've got to get out and vote because, again, when the president's going to have help when the military tribunals break out. He's got to have support. And you got to remember, these guys don't go into effect until January. The new Congress doesn't. So we've got to get out and vote.
Mark, do you think that the arrests will come staggered? Do you think it'll be all at once? And do you think it will come right after the midterms?
You know, I don't have a timing on it, brother. I really do not. The timing's the hardest thing to pick up on in the prophetic. You know, God can't change his mind. You know, God's got a plan. You know, heaven's agenda is being, used through Donald Trump, through the administration. You know, you will see the mass arrests happen. You will see civil unrest. It's going to get pretty edgy for a few months. So I encourage people, you may want to have some food stocked up. You know, just something like you would in a natural disaster, because, you know, shipments may be delayed through the civil unrest. You know, how long that lasts, I don't know if it's going to last long or not. I think they're going to come down hard on these people, because you got to remember, the civil unrest is not going to be people who are fighting what's going on. These are going to be paid agitators. You and I both know who's behind it. So, I mean, that could go on for a little bit. So we just need to be prepared, be praying about the civil unrest. But it's coming. I mean, the mass arrests are coming. Whether it comes in waves or he does it all at once, that part I do not know either.
Hey, Mark, it's Pastor Woody. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Hey, can you hear me okay, Mark?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, good. I'm sorry. Hey, this is Pastor Woody. Hey, I've followed your prophecy since, I think, really the beginning, Trump prophecies. Fascinated, and just fascinated listening to this whole conversation and the accuracy of the whole thing and the way it's been confirmed all the way. I'm curious how, for people who might not understand the prophetic, how do you explain, like, to maybe some of our listeners, is when we say the prophetic, when you say you're hearing from God about something, is that like a psychic? Is that like what do we mean when we say prophetic?
Well, it's the devil cannot tell the future, period. And psychics get their information from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Prophetic people get their revelation from the tree of life. So there's a huge difference. And I was trained under one of John Paul Jackson's satellite ministries, so I followed a lot of his teachings and training at the time for years. And the best way to explain it is like this. And he told us a story, and he says he went to look for an apartment one time when he was about 20 years old. And he walks into the manager's office, and he walks in, and there was a lady sitting behind the desk, and he walked in the door, and she says, "Ooh, you have a gift." And he's like, "Excuse me?" She says, "No, you have a gift. Let me see your watch." So she takes his watch and starts rubbing it. Well, he starts getting freaked out. He's young. He didn't know. And she says, "There's a blonde girl that's going to be sending you a letter, and she wants to reconcile her relationship with you." And so he left out of there. He took the watch and knew enough. This thing's defiled. He threw it in the dumpster, and that was it. Well, 3 days later, he gets a letter from an old girlfriend of his wanting to reconcile. Well, did she really tell the future? No. She tapped into a demonic network that had a demon that was standing over her, watching her write the letter, perverting it, making it look like she could tell the future. So again, if the devil could tell the future, he would have never gotten kicked out of heaven because he knew what was coming. So this is the difference in the prophetic. And the prophetic taps into the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit. Jesus is the Spirit of prophecy. And when God is the only one who can truly tell the future. And I was saying earlier in the show, a prediction is from the mind or intellect of man. Like someone will make a prediction, like this person's going to win the election, or that person's going to win the election. Well, that's from the mind or intellect of man. When you have a prophecy of God, you're hearing from the Spirit of God himself. And he is the only one that can tell you the future of what's coming. Okay? Because all that's coming from the tree of life. It's revelation, not information.
Amen. Well, I heard John Paul Jackson once at a John Wimber conference in Edmonton back in the day. So I'll never forget that. Hey, when you think about the prophecies that the Lord has given you and we're hearing about today, is this a gift you've had all your life? I mean, does this start in childhood? Did it come on you later in life? Help us understand.
Well, it's weird because my grandfather was a minister, and my great-grandfather was a Baptist minister. And he roamed the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee on foot evangelizing. I was not called to be a pastor. Don't have it in me. God bless those who are. I don't have the patience for being a pastor. So I know God's called me to something a little bit different. And it's just, as a kid, I would know things maybe a little bit that were coming, but I didn't know it was a gift. I had no clue. On the fire department, I could sense things were coming, danger, this, that, and the other. All those are prophetic things ahead of time, or know things were coming ahead of time, but I didn't know I had a so-called prophetic gift. It wasn't until after I retired that I started going to John Paul Jackson's, one of his satellite ministries, and got involved in all of that I realized, oh, now I'm kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together here. You start going through some prophetic training and reading the Word of God, how the prophetic works, and this, that, and the other, some of the prophets of old, how they operated, and then you start putting the pieces together, basically. And basically my gift truly came on once I got out of the fire department.
The Trump prophecy was really what brought you onto the scene, you might say, and of course you made that prophecy at a time when everybody said that he didn't have a chance in the world to even get out of the Republican primaries, much less be the president of the United States. I'm curious. I mean, that was pretty bold. I mean, I get the sense that maybe you had used the prophetic. Maybe in your own ministry, in your own locale, in your own church, or wherever. Maybe I'm wrong. You can correct me. But somehow the Lord prompted you to be very public about this Trump prophecy.
Well, I had not shared at the time I got the Trump prophecy was in 2011, so I did not have a platform. God isolated me in my home for like 10 years, literally, when I was sick. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't go a lot of places. So, I had limited people that I had sent this out to when I got it. My first doctor I sent it to was the one that I gave it to, a couple of friends and maybe family. That was it. I didn't have a platform, at the time. It wasn't until I went to the next doctor that I gave it to him, and he gave it to his wife, and all this went public. They're the ones that took it public. I didn't go public with it. They did. And so that kind of what got everything started, basically.